Well, welcome back and good afternoon. I'm Tim and I'm going to be taking you through today's final general session. What a fun day it's been. I really enjoyed interacting, catching up with some old friends, swapping some stories, and meeting some new ones. I really look forward to doing this in person again. I really enjoyed the breakout sessions also, and I hoped you did too. My favorite was the What's New. After 20 years of using Solidworks, it's so amazing to see the continuous improvements that Dassault Systems makes every single year, making our lives a little bit easier, saving us some time, and improving our design workflows. What was your favorite session? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to read through those. Just a reminder, all of these sessions have been recorded today, so you can go back, you can rewatch the ones you saw, or check out the ones you missed. Feel free to share these with your colleagues that might benefit from them. If you're watching this from YouTube, feel free to use the link in the description and you'll hop over to our conference platform, and that gets you access to all of those recorded sessions and more. You'll also be eligible for the prizes. So over the next 50 minutes or so, I've got two great interviews. I've got Andrew Carlson, a pro racer and SolidWorks user, as well as Brian Zeiss from Dassault Systems SolidWorks. And then we're going to give away some prizes at the end of the session. So stick around. This is going to be fun. Now up first, I want to recognize one of our platinum sponsors, DriveWorks. Now, if you need to automate repetitive tasks and make your life a little bit easier, take a look at DriveWorks. DriveWorks can enable you to capture your design logic, your design rules, build a form that means we have to follow those rules. And that could be used by the engineering team, but even outside entities like the sales department, your distributors, or outside customers that want to go in and do some configuring, get a price, get deliverables back to them right away. So here's a quick spot from one of my favorite partners, DriveWorks.
Configure, design, and sell custom products in record time with DriveWorks CPQ for manufacturing. Create your own configure, price quote solution powered by DriveWorks rules-based automation. Automate the creation of all the data you need to sell, design, and manufacture custom products, from simple parts to complex systems. Save time throughout your organization, reduce errors and time-consuming rework, sell more and respond quickly. Rules-based guided selling enables sales teams, distributors, and customers to configure custom quotes and visualize selections in interactive 3D on any device. As changes are made and options selected, the price updates in real time. Use your company-specific rules and data to control currencies, discounts, and more. Sales data and quotes are generated automatically. In your customizable workflow, notifications can be sent, approvals requested, and further downstream documents created. You might also decide to automatically send the quote directly to the customer, so they have all the information they need to place the order straight away. In the background, DriveWorks automatically creates the order-specific manufacturing data needed, including 3D parts, assemblies, drawings, bills of material, and much more. Integration between DriveWorks and other company systems ensures that the data can be linked to your ERP and CRM systems. As part of your workflow, the data can also go through a final review before being sent to the shop floor. Throughout the entire process, DriveWorks keeps everyone up to date with alerts, notifications, email, reports, and more. Deliver configured products in record time and exceed customer expectations.
All right, up next, I've got an awesome interview with Andrew Carlson of Carlson Motorsports, number 15. Now, he is the epitome of extreme. You know, he's an off-road racer that drives both a Pro 4 truck, which are some of the arguably most baddest vehicles on the planet. These are 1,000 horsepower purpose-built off-road race trucks with amazing suspension. And he also runs modified side-by-sides. And he uses SolidWorks to go faster. Let's take a look. Welcome, Andrew. So where are you coming to us from today?
Yeah, I'm from Elk River, Minnesota. So I'm at our race shop currently. I'm in my office. We got the race trucks just across the building. And yeah, I'm kind of in my office where I spend a lot of my CAD and do a lot of my designing.
Very cool. So I want to start off in the beginning and understand a little bit about how you got into racing originally.
Yeah, so I just grew up in a family that's always been around power sports. kind of started off with snowmobiles and dirt bikes from a young age. I started riding as soon as I could, ditch training wheels. I was on a dirt bike, and probably at age 3, and then right into racing. Just something I'd always grew up around, and it wasn't really a distinct decision I made. It was just, I always felt like it was a passion of mine, and I just, had a habit for pushing the limits, and wasn't afraid to land on my head every once in a while. But I think just pushing, just being a competitive person too, and always pushing yourself. Just started in snowmobiles, went to basically the top level, competed in X Games race for 20 years on snowmobiles, got to the top pro classes, and then just got beat up with injuries here and there, and made a transition to 4 wheels. So started racing off-road trucks and razors, and that's currently where I'm at. So I'm just super blessed to be able to do this for a living, and it's fun.
No, you exemplify extreme. So tell us a little bit about the 2 distinct disciplines that you're involved with today. It's Pro 4 trucks and then modified side-by-sides. Can you just tell us a little bit about what those vehicles are all?
Yeah, so Pro 4 is the biggest, baddest class in off-road racing. It's basically, they tell you the width of the vehicle, the length of the vehicle, and then you get a certain weight per cubic inch of your engine. So a lot of work goes into the decisions we're making on what the truck is, where we're putting the engine, where the weight's all at, how much travel we have, everything. And it's just a lot of geometry we're working with. And the sky's kind of the limit. As much as you want to put into it, you can. So that's one extreme. And then the UTV is similar, but it's also the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's a production-based vehicle. It doesn't start as a pile of tubes. We're getting it from Polaris in the factory, running stock engine, stock drivetrain, minimal suspension modifications, but it's cool from the CAD side of things, where that starts as a production vehicle. So I have, a base platform, I have to use it, and we're modifying it. So anything I do, if I'm relying on that stock chassis, it's very precise, and it has to be within the rules. So we're trying to split hairs and get every little inch that we can, and get all the weight out, but not cripple the chassis and make it weak. So I have these 2 opposite beasts. They're both 4-wheel drive. They're both very good power to weight ratio, but one is production based, that you can go buy at a dealership and finance the thing and do whatever. And then some guy can go drive it right down the ditch. And then the other hand is this highly specialized, there's probably only 20 of them in the country, 1,000 horsepower, 20 inches of travel, 35-inch tires, lots of power, and just slinging dirt. Put them on the same track, and they're within a few seconds. A little bit different driving style. The Pro 4 obviously is hard to reach the potential of what that vehicle can do. It's you're almost, the limiting factor is the driver. So just trying to harness all that and put it out on the track. And then the UTV is kind of this balance of having everything perfect, and setup wise, and clutching, and then fine tuning. And at the end of the day, if you can hold the thing wide open all over, you're very close to the same speed as the Pro 4. So, for me, I grew up racing in the UTVs, and it's something that, was a natural fit, as they came into being in off-road racing. It's just a cool sponsor that I've always had is Polaris. And now they're so far along, in horsepower and what they can do, that they're actually complementing each other, and I can learn things from each. And even some of the setup stuff is going back and forth. Some of the technology, especially in the shocks, is now all electric on the UTVs. They're tuning on the fly, and we're trying to get some of that technology into the Pro 4. So, and it's more seat time for me. Growing up racing snowmobiles, a lot of these guys I'm racing have more championships than years I've even raced. So I'm trying to get up to speed quicker, and the UTV gives me a lot more laps, and it's another fun thing to go race. So
I suppose, like anything, the more seat time you get, the just better naturally that you can become. And I got to say, I made it out to a race a couple weeks ago, and it was a spectacle. These things are amazing. I didn't get to see the Pro 4 trucks race, so I will be back next year to watch those for sure, because those things are monsters. I mean, they make 1,000 horsepower and just ridiculous amounts of suspension travel. What you guys do in those is truly unbelievable. One of the things, and and I'm a novice, right? It was all new to me, but to watch you guys fly those things was impressive. How far are you jumping those things on average? How far have you jumped them at the extreme end?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's a little different than motocross where you kind of need the right takeoff because once you leave the ground, there's minimal inputs. You can give it some throttle and gas and brake to control the pitch of the car, but small inputs go a long ways when you're going 200 feet. So the face has to be very controlled and you've got to be comfortable off of it. And you know, we're flying 200 feet for sure at our track here, and some tracks the gaps aren't as far, but you're higher in the air, and it's you definitely get a rush in the truck compared to even a dirt bike because you feel helpless for
kind of along for the ride, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you're definitely along for the ride. So there's a lot more intensity as you're coming up to the face, making sure, you know, we have really short gear ratios, so if you let off the gas too much, it'll decel the vehicle and do bad things, and same with too much throttle. So very precise movements off the faces of the jumps, and then doing it in tandem or, you know, 3 wide with other cars. It's definitely, you know, for me it's different because in snowcross I grew up racing, and you're off the ground more than you're on the ground. So it took some getting used to, but once I figured it out and I learned the inputs, that's the easiest part for me because I grew up doing it. So, you know, a lot of these guys, we've been doing some rally car racing too, and overseas they don't have jumps barely at all. So like the race you came to, they were going 200 feet. Some of these guys have never jumped a car that far. So
yeah, they talked about that in the interviews. Like, this is all new. We don't drive like this.
Yeah, I'm very analytical in my approach, and especially into driving because I feel like it takes a lot of the emotion out, and I'm just very factual, and a lot of that, it's the same for a corner. You know, some of these guys look at a jump and there is more fear, but if you hit the jump wide open, bad things can happen. If you hit a corner wide open and you don't lift, it's the same concept. So a lot of it is just mental, and it's cool to see how big of an effect that has on people. You know, a lot of us have been in motocross. It's easy to hit a tabletop easier because you can inch your way up to it, but you could take a dozer and scoop out the center of that same jump, and you know, half the guys don't want to hit it. So even if you hit it 100 times, it's just so much of what you're battling in extreme sports and racing, and a lot of this is between your ears. So, you know, taking as much of that element as you can out of it, and just you know, trying to hit your marks is a big deal. And you know, it's a little different because the consequences affect you physically and can end up being bad at times. But at the same time, that's why not everyone's doing it. You know, it's not for everybody. But at the end of the day, when you master it and you get it, it's a relief, and it just feels cool. And yeah, just to conquer the machine, it's pretty fun.
You know, you touched on that frame of mind where you got to overcome, and in some cases, like, get yourself to do things that ordinarily would be hard to do. What's it like? You know, so you're strapped in the seat, right? The 30-second board is up. You know it's happening. To me, that would be like the moment my heart would probably be jumping out of my chest. But talk us through where your nerves are at and what you're thinking about.
Yeah, that is, you know, especially in the early stages of racing. You know, when I was little, I'd get to the point where I would almost want to throw up. Just being on the starting line, you have so much adrenaline. It's a drug, basically, right? Like you're having a chemical reaction in your body that all of a sudden you're reacting to, so it can make you sick. So using that, it gets important. You need that adrenaline rush to be able to have a higher processing rate, and it, you know, narrows your focus of your eyes, and there's so many cool things it does, you know, medically, but you got to use it correctly. So a lot of it comes back to the same deal. A lot of it's between the ears, and you know, for me personally, it's all about preparation and doing it the same. You know, like I said, I'm very analytical, systematic. When I get in the truck, you know, I got to be on time, and I got to do all these things to set myself up for success. And a lot of them is mental imagery, just going through the track and kind of using my overview of what I have to do and playing that scenario through successfully. You know, I'm a very visual person too, so I feel like that's what I use to kind of help calm the nerves. So then when I get to that situation in the race, I feel like I've been there before, whether I have or haven't. Just kind of using some mental imagery and just playing positive scenarios through your head. So
I've heard of that from other racers where they're literally racing through the race in their head so that when they get there, they've kind of already been there and they can overcome that mental
Yeah, I
game.
mean it's different for everybody too. Some people like to slap themselves around and get all riled up, and some like to be more on the calm side. So it's just something that I've raced a lot in my life. It all hasn't been trucks, but the more I can relate to what I'm currently doing and kind of adapt the skills I've already gained, it's something I know works for me, and yeah, it's helped me out.
So I know you're a full-time driver, but you wear other hats on the team. Can you just tell us a little bit about some of the other roles that you play?
Yeah, so from a young age, I've just always been involved in design. My dad is a big product designer and started multiple businesses, and my grandpa was a commercial artist, and I kind of have that bug from them. And growing up, in a little bit more modern times, a lot more of it's computer based now, and that was just something that I've kind of bridged the gap of bringing in a lot of the design that some of my family members have done, and I've been around, and I've just seen a lot of cool things done on computers, and from a young age, I just have always been drawn to modeling and then obviously making a tie to racing. So go hand in hand in the race team. I have some fabrication skills. I'm not the best welder, not the best tube notcher and stuff like that, but I try to bring value where I can, and if I can make someone's life easier and give them a template or get some tubes laser cut, at the end of the day it puts the truck on the track, and I can bring stuff to the table. So I do a lot. I have my full Razor chassis. I do it all in Solidworks, doing everything from the aluminum work to seating position to going through some of the suspension travel and mounting points for shocks, and the same on the Pro 4. Part of it for us is we race a couple times a month, and if you end up wrecking something, the trucks are very tough, but at the same time we don't always have a ton of downtime to keep these trucks up to their fullest potential. So we rely a lot on I have certain shops that I use that can laser cut or get certain panels water jetted out or whatever, and it's almost like you can't order parts for a lot of these out of a catalog, right? So
no, it's all hand craftsmanship, right? Fabrication, yeah, in most cases.
So we get as close as we can to that, where it's like, hey, I need panel number 7 for the front of the, and it's like I can get it kind of coming. So it kind of streamlines it a lot, and then at the same time we have the whole chassis in the computer, and as we're developing it, I have different revs that we've gone to, and we can kind of go back and track changes, and the sky's the limit. We work with a lot of different vendors and sponsors that use the same type of thing. So I feel like the more up to speed I am on the tech side and with the actual design of some of these parts, when we have a wheel sponsor or a shock sponsor, or when we have failures or they're looking to make a change, it's like the more real data I have around these parts and these things we're doing, because at the end of the day, we're putting these parts through more strain than any daily driver truck is going to do. So, Fox shocks, NTN bearings, Vision wheel, a lot of these companies, they make their money off of a consumer that is buying wheels or shocks for their truck. So, that's where the value comes in. And for us, we have the ultimate test for them. So if I can help bridge that gap of like, hey, this makes it, through heck on my truck, there's no way you couldn't put this on, a daily driver and it would excel. So a lot of real life things we're developing, and especially on the Razor side, we're pushing these cars so far and doing amazing things with these side-by-sides. And a lot of the stuff we're developing is going right back to, the consumer. They're using the stuff we're learning on the shocks and the chassis and the center of gravity, seating position, more visibility, all this stuff. That's the direction the consumer vehicles are going, and we're basically racing the consumer vehicles. So for me to have a better vehicle from the start, it gives me another advantage. And lucky to work super close with Polaris. We're only 30 minutes away from them, so I have a lot of good relationships with engineers there, and work very closely with them. I'm actually doing some prototype projects right now, building some prototype chassis, and that the better relationship I have with them, the more trust, ultimately it helps us both a lot. So
No, that's something I thought was so unique when we met, that you're a driver, but you also want to be a designer. You want to use the CAD system to develop your truck. And I think that knowledge of the truck and how it works, how it's built, how it's developed, makes you so valuable to the team. Being able to communicate at the level of the fabricator has got to be a significant advantage for your team.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a very visual person, so even if it isn't something that I'm getting cut or something that I'm manufacturing through a vendor or something, if it's just I need to visualize it for one of my mechanics or a crew chief and just draw it up quick and say, hey, what would this look like, or what would it happen if we tried this? And at the end of the day, it's such a real application for like a product like Solidworks, because if I can't just use it because I want to be using it. I have to use it in an area that it fits and that it provides value. If I'm just doing it because it's cool and because I like spinning CAD and clicking and making cool stuff, and then, hey, say, look what I made. If it doesn't speed up the process or provide more accuracy or provide more function or better data, to me, it's a miss. So there's a reason I'm using it, and there's a reason it's bringing more to my program, and even some of the more old school guys in my shop that have built 50 trucks in their life, and they're all old school, hand doing it all. For them to say like, hey, I bring them a paper wrap to go around a tube, and then they cut that, and they're like, oh, this doesn't look like it would fit, and then they pop it in and it's perfect. They're like, that's pretty cool. Like,
did you give them a little smile then?
What's this whole SolidWorks deal you're doing up there? It's can you do that again? So it's cool. It's a blend for me. It's a lot of hand fab coupled with modern design and SolidWorks and cool stuff. So I think having a healthy balance of that brings a lot of success to our team.
It sounds like it's all about a competitive advantage, which is exactly what you'd expect out of a racer. So where can people go to learn more about what you're up to? How can people stay up to date with what Andrew's doing?
Yeah, so we're very active on Instagram. It's probably my favorite platform, Andrew Carlson 15. So check me out there. And then we actually have a pretty in-depth YouTube series that we did this last race season called Inside Off Road. And it's for anybody that's, the biggest fan of it to anyone that's maybe never seen it before. Break it all down, and it's a lot of this stuff, like behind the scenes, what's going on mentally and what we're doing on these trucks. And it's a different take on, what we're doing in our forms of racing. So that's on YouTube. Just search Andrew Carlson 15. We got a bunch of different videos on there too. And then carlsonmoto.com. We got a lot of our event dates and info on our team and stuff like that on there too. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yep, I've watched a lot of those YouTubes, and I will vouch they are really well done and entertaining. They're awesome. So keep them coming, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You bet. Well, hey, I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing some of your stories with the audience here, and thank you for being a SolidWorks customer, and I can't wait till I get to see you in person.
Sounds great. Thanks, Tim.
Man, what a cool SolidWorks application, and what an extreme athlete. I hope you enjoyed that half as much as I did. Up next, we've got a sponsor spot from Markforged. Now, if you haven't heard of Markforged, they're really changing the way products are developed, designed, tested, and manufactured. Now, you might have seen parts like this with incredible strength, and the incredible strength in this case is caused by this continuous embedded carbon fiber. So these are truly composite parts. But they don't only make these kinds of printers, they make a variety of printers, including the bad boy behind me that prints in metal parts, the Metal X. So let's take a look at what Markforged is up to today.
The mechanical engineer's eternal problem is waiting for parts. And with 3D printing, that whole cycle of design and wait goes from design and wait 6 weeks to design and wait a day, which is basically everyone's dream.
BattleBots to me is somewhere between a hobby and a career, right? It's not only what I cut my teeth in engineering on, but it's what I helped many, many new builders come into the sport doing. With the Markforged printers, it's the reliability that honestly gets you every time. If you can't trust your printer to leave it alone overnight, then you're not getting anything done any faster than you would with a conventional method. It's a super low effort, and I like low effort. Engineers, we're finding more and more lazy ways to change the world.
Somebody once asked me why we put so much effort into how the printer looked and how it was built. And my answer was, if we don't care about how our product looks, why would you believe that we're going to care about how your part looks?
This is industrial. I mean, this is a different scale. It's insane, to be honest with you, when you can think you can actually print a metal piece. I'll take the carbon pieces. I'm a carbon guy and a racing guy, carbon fiber the whole way. But it's incredible.
This is not looks like, feels like. This is like works like, keeps working like, and you forgot that you 3D printed it because it's still working.
Most of the work that I do is in the orthopedics and trauma realm and trying to make a difference in people's lives. What I'm holding in my hands here, this is a external fixator part. Each kit that basically used for a patient costs about $2,000 to $3,000. And this one is a 3D printed version of that. It costs $5 that does the same thing, and you can throw it away and don't feel guilty about it.
Our customers who are using our printers, they have parts on their desk that they're showing how much time and cost they've saved.
The Markforged products affords us the ability to take greater risks.
Having the ability to print something that's not as expensive kind of rekindles your imagination.
Originally, 3D printing at Dixon Valve was for research and development. And over time, as the technology advanced, we took it from rapid prototyping into functional prototypes.
We can go in entirely different directions because we will be able to produce things that you can't produce other ways.
At the end of the day, every engineer just wants to make a perfect design. 3D printing lets you get a little closer, or a lot closer.
Those technical breakout sessions we ran today are some of the best parts of conferences like this. I always enjoy putting them on, and I know my colleagues do too. So we're going to take a quick look at a montage of some of the technical breakout sessions we ran today. Now, if you see anything that's interesting in here, just know that you can go back and you can watch that recording. Let's take a look. Okay, up next, I've got another guest, Brian Zeiss. Now, Brian Zeiss is with another platinum sponsor of ours, Dassault Systems Solidworks. He comes to us with a degree in aerospace engineering and has been a part of the channel for a really long time. He started off first as a reseller, but then moved to working for SolidWorks Direct over a decade ago. He's what I call an explainer. He really has a knack for taking complex topics and making them very easy to understand. You may have seen him on YouTube doing what's new or showing other products, helping you better understand how you can fit them into your own processes. Welcome, Brian Zeiss.
Hey, Tim. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
I am so excited to be part of the D2M Extreme. Although I was just thinking, what do I do that's extreme? And I got a 2.5-year-old at home, so I'm thinking extreme patience. That's my latest sport, if you will.
That's a gift. And hey, I tell you what, getting in front of 500 people, even virtually, is a bit of an extreme. I was thinking about Andrew's heart pumping, and when these sessions start, I'm right there.
Yeah, we've been at World together, and hopefully we see all of you at Solidworks World. 3D Experience World in February. New name, same great event. But no,
3D
thanks
Experience
for
World
having me.
in Atlanta, Georgia this year, right?
Atlanta. Yep.
I look
and
forward
I
to
wore
it.
my Solidworks red because I'm the caboose of your show today.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you joining. So this morning, we showed a number of what's new SolidWorks stuff for the desktop product line. But we also know that Dassault Systems is working on the next generation design tools that are coupled to the 3D Experience platform. So for this audience, primarily SolidWorks users, we wanted to highlight some of the ways, or some of the products, some ways that they can incorporate that next generation design tool. So can you give us one example of a tool that an existing SolidWorks user could put into practice right now?
I think so. And I was watching Jacob Ames this morning doing the CAD fundamentals, what's new in 2022. And the way I like to think of the 3D Experience platform, what this broader perspective is that every year we have all these enhancements into the SolidWorks desktop, and that's one of over a dozen brands at Dassault Systems. So, for example, CATIA is a brand you've probably heard of, and what you're seeing on the screen now is one of the technologies that we've brought to the SolidWorks base to complement SolidWorks, and this is a tool called 3D Sculptor. And so subdivisional modeling with best-in-class high-fidelity surface. This is one of the primary ways we see folks today who are using SolidWorks dip into that 3D Experience Works portfolio.
Well,
So
Brian,
this-
I did a bunch of surface modeling in my career, and I know I've modeled complex shapes, but it's challenging, and it's like I model one face at a time and move on to the next. But with
That's
this
right.
sub-D modeling with the Sculptor, I really can kind of use a hunk of clay to get the bulk of the model done super rapidly.
I'm sure we've both taught our fair share of the surface modeling class. Hopefully everyone out there has taken that one from Hawkridge. But if you think about how much time you spend blending the surfaces, modeling face by face, absolutely a valid workflow. A lot of times you want to get through that faster. This is where subdivisional modeling really helps. And the fact is, with a subdivisional body, everything's curvature continuous until you tell it otherwise. So you can push and pull, make sure you're going to have a really high quality surface at the end of the day. And I think what
Brian,
we've done...
You just said something.
Yeah.
You glossed by it really fast, but always implicitly curve continuous. So fillets are not required. Things are just always smoothly blended from one thing to the next.
Yeah, and a lot of times you could look at sub-D, and I think we've shared a lot of marketing content about it as, it's great prototype. It's clay modeling, getting that shape, maybe printing a scale model, getting that feel of it with your Markforged printer. What we see in the last couple of years with the 3D Experience integration, and in the very beginning, if you guys think back to the very beginning of the show, there's a pie chart. And, quality, performance, reliability, over half the work that SolidWorks R&D puts in every year. But a big chunk of that is also 3D Experience integration. What does that mean? Well, it means that you can use a tool like 3D Creator, not just as a concept modeling tool, but also as a new way to approach master modeling. So some of the full-length demos you'll see, like if you go to our website, solidworks.com, what's new, you can see the full-length demo here of the Nemo submersible. We actually take these bodies, take them into SolidWorks, and then develop them master model style into those end components. So super high fidelity, high quality surfaces that can become master references for the downstream parts. So it's pretty exciting. It's a no-brainer tool to snap on to your toolbox. And again, great example of Dassault Systems, 12 brands. CATIA, we all know, trains, planes, automobiles, super high-end servicing. Great to have their technology seamlessly integrated inside SolidWorks.
No, that looks super helpful, and I know I'm a fan. I love to share this with others who haven't been exposed to it yet, because it is a super rapid way of developing a part, and with some new enhancements that let you really develop it to match existing geometry, right?
Alignment tools, yeah, that's right. Align to curve, align to line, so you can actually match up to the hard points, match up to the existing structure and the frames. Yeah, it's a really robust tool. Super excited. I'm not the best at it, but even I can go in there and make some pretty compelling shapes.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so today we're all more distributed than ever. I have colleagues across North America and across the city I work in, and we're all trying to work together. So the cloud has to help us do that more efficiently. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the ways it could?
Yeah, absolutely. In the last 18 months, almost 2 years, if you can believe that, I'm sure all of us have revisited that idea of where am I putting my files? Is it a VPN to my network drive? Is it my Dropbox, Google Drive? Even a lot of us that have PDM have looked into the cloud for hosting. So the newest offering that we're bringing to the market is what you're seeing here, Collaborative Designer for SolidWorks. Scott and Todd did a great job in the breakout just before now, going in over the ins and outs. I think they summarized it really well. It's like PDM for SolidWorks on the 3D Experience cloud. So it's all hosted in our public cloud, and it gives you the ability to check in, check out, revision control, maturity, and just very, very seamlessly connect your SolidWorks up to a secure, safe cloud data storage, and then engage in our everyday workflows without having to worry about any of the overhead traditionally associated with setting up a SQL server and hosting on Amazon all your PDM. Like, that's great, but if you're a small team or you're a satellite group, man, it's nice to just out of the box be able to turn this thing on and boom, there's data management.
So rapidly deployed, no infrastructure, it just works. And best part is you don't really have to install or update anything.
Yeah, you got to check out that breakout that Scott did. Although I thought Scott was going to show some of his bee modeling. He just showed the hive. So I'm going to have to pick his brain on how he would use sub D probably to make some more organic shapes.
I'm sure we can convince him. I'm absolutely sure we can convince him. So you mentioned the brands, and I'm an insider, so I'm aware of a lot of the things that Dassault Systems is up to. And one of the things, I cut my teeth with simulation tools. It's actually what's kind of kept me around for so long. I'm just so fascinated with ways we can use predictive tools to augment physical prototypes to help us really innovate and incrementally improve our designs prior to cutting any parts. One of the brands that I've been super interested in is Simula, also known maybe as Abacus. So this is becoming more acceptable or accessible also, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, Tim, you and I know we went head to head in some simulation demos back in the day when we called it Cosmos Works. And I still look at SolidWorks simulation, like we saw the breakout on the F1 racer analysis, like for linear static design simulation, it's amazing. But at a certain point, you reach the ceiling of what we can do inside of SolidWorks. And usually it's a nonlinearity. If you think about either a time nonlinearity, like an impact analysis, durability, or even other physics, being able to mesh it a little bit more robustly to solve more complex and larger problems. This suite of tools, you said Simula. So Simula is one brand in the Dassault portfolio. Abacus is one part of technology. We saw that in another one of your breakouts, looking at some of the Abacus structural tools. But Simula has dozens of different tools that we've brought together over the last several years that represent structural, electromagnetics, flow, thermal, like all these high-end physics and really robust meshing capabilities that, well, you and I probably only dreamed of doing inside of SolidWorks directly.
Absolutely, Brian. 100% agree with that. Like the dream was always there, but now we can do things like fracture mechanics and actually seeing, go much deeper than. I still believe what you said is true, that linear statics is best done in SolidWorks using SolidWorks simulation.
I agree.
But now, these high-end analyses are just so much more accessible through the 3D Experience platform.
Yeah, someone like Andrew, I was thinking about him, like moving, racing and design, fabricating. We got to get him some simulation. And yeah, he'd still use SolidWorks simulation for his linear static factor of safety. That's the bread and butter of what we do day in and day out. But you get to that final validation, impact analysis of the frame, trying to bring in the complex behavior of the shocks and introducing some system level behavior, getting into durability. That stuff really necessitates higher end capabilities. And again, we can untap that with this Simula brand connected directly to the SolidWorks. So, I would just summarize by saying 3D Experience to me represents a whole heck of a lot of technology that hitherto I just haven't been familiar with. None of us really have, but every time, I go around and look at a different brand, it's like, oh, that's amazing. That's best in class. And each one of these brands is just as awesome as SolidWorks in its own way. So that's kind of our ambition now. And in the long term, bring all that together for everyone through what we call 3D Experience Works, kind of that purpose-built set of portfolio tools for every one of us that's a SolidWorks user day in and day out.
No, super cool. It's a really fun time to take these high-end technologies that used to be outside of our hands and actually get our hands on them and put them to work, and our designs benefit from that, right?
That's the idea. Hopefully, I like what Andrew said. If you're just spinning around models and making stuff because it looks good, that's not a win. But hey, that's what my team gets to do. And you'll see our videos and our content all over YouTube and our .com site. So yeah, check it out. Google 3D Experience Works, see what comes up. Of course, get in touch with your Hawkridge AE or account rep to learn more about all these tools and check out those awesome breakouts. Great job today. Super fun to be part of the show, Tim.
No, thank you, Brian, for being here. We really appreciate it. And these are some really great technologies that can be utilized by average SolidWorks users right now. So thanks. I look forward to seeing you in Atlanta soon. And have a great rest of the afternoon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Take care. So our customers build some of the most extreme and cool products. It's always super rewarding to see what they can come up with. So we've got a short montage that highlights some of the extreme products that you're creating. Well, that was some more cool stuff. All right, next we're going to give away some prizes. So right now we're going to name some names. We've got a GoPro Hero 9, a Yeti cooler, and an Oculus VR set of goggles. And we're going to give them away. We'll ship these right out to you. So first we're going to give away the Yeti, and that goes to Bryce Gill. Congratulations, Bryce. You get a Yeti cooler. Next, let's give away that GoPro. That's the latest and greatest, the Hero 9. I sure would love to have one. And Gabriel Ickenbach, apologize if I got that, but Gabriel, congratulations, you win the GoPro. Just one favor, would you send us a cool extreme video of what you do with it? I'd love to see it. And lastly, we've got the winner of the Oculus, the set of VR goggles. That's going to Darren Savage. Good job, Darren. Thanks for attending, and congratulations. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here, and I want to thank you for joining, for taking some time out of your day to learn a little bit more about these tools and techniques that can save you time and improve your product development process. I'd really like to thank our sponsors, Dassault Systems, HP, Solid Professor, Markforged, DriveWorks, as well as CamWorks. I really want to thank our presenters. They worked really hard on those presentations, and I hope you enjoyed them. Remember, that recording is going to stick around, so you can always go back and watch those. I also want to thank some of the folks that are behind the scenes, some folks that we don't always give credit for. So we've got a great organizer that coordinates most of the show that we've put on today, and that's Savannah Feasum. Savannah, thank you for all your hard work. I'd also like to thank the guy who's just off camera over here, our director, Nick Schulten. He does such an amazing job with the visuals and being able to cut the different videos in. It's something that I've never been able to do, so I really appreciate his help. And none of this could be possible without our president and CEO, Dale Ford. Dale, thank you for letting us do this. It's so fun. And I think it's really great for the customers as well. So I'd encourage you to watch those recordings, share them with your colleagues, and you're also going to get a survey from us. Please fill that out. I read every one of those, and we use that to better this conference for next year. So we're going to sign off now from the Design to Manufacturing Show 2021. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time here at Hawkridge Systems.